Many content creators, myself included, early on in my journey, will make a lot of assumptions about what it is that folks want to hear, right? I think this is the most interesting thing, or this is the thing that makes the biggest difference for my clients, so you should care about it, right? There's truth to that. But what's more important in terms of like developing trust with a subscriber base is showing them that you're hearing them, that you're listening to the questions that they have. And the best businesses, whether it's a coaching business or a car rental business, answer the needs that you have before you even know that you have them.
So I just want to jump right in and ask you, what inspired you to start creating video content in the first place? And how did that evolve into a business strategy?
Yeah, so the way that I came to video is actually pretty unique. I had just started my coaching practice, and I was asked by someone who I met who already had an existing YouTube channel if I would join him in creating a video for YouTube on squirting, on female ejaculation. And that video went so well on his channel. This is back in 2015. It got millions of views in the first 6 months. And everyone in my life at that time turned to me and said, you need to start your own channel. And YouTube had some momentum at that time. It was sort of like maybe in its adolescence. And I really saw that there was an opportunity on YouTube for me to create content, that there was an audience that was there and they were reachable and they desired the kind of content that I wanted to create. And so the strategy really built over time. I started posting videos. I wasn't as diligent about making sure that I was posting every single week. For the first several years that I had YouTube, I would kind of have a thought or an inspiration, and then I would go create a video about it. And then I'd take a few weeks off, and then I'd go create a video the next time. And it wasn't for maybe 3 years into my YouTube channel existing that I finally got very serious about the strategy and learning what the best practices were and posting a new video every week or sometimes 2 weeks and playing with their other features like YouTube Live. And so the strategy sort of evolved over time, but the way that I ended up there was very organically and very surprising.
Oh, that is so amazing. So, at what point did you realize that the content you're creating wasn't just getting views, but actually bringing in clients and opportunities for you?
So from the very beginning, from the first video that I post, even from that first video that I was featured in, people wanted to come and work with me. The video really attracted a lot of male attention for men who were dealing with performance anxiety. And maybe we're dealing especially with premature ejaculation, which is sort of what had led them to want to learn about squirting to begin with. So we put my first ever business email address in the description of the video, and people were emailing me right away asking if I could help them, learn how to be better in bed and enjoy their life more and have more control and stamina over their ejaculation. When I started my own channel, that just continued exponentially. So there have always been people who wanted to come and work with me based on those videos. And I think what was the second half of your question was, how did I turn it into strategy?
Yeah, so that
Other opportunities.
videos weren't just getting views, but bringing in clients and opportunities.
Yeah. And it wasn't that long after I started YouTube that there were brands that wanted to partner with me, sex toy companies or other companies that were limited by what they could do in terms of advertising, and saw the kind of growing influencer space as an opportunity to get their products out there. So, at first companies were sending me a bunch of toys and I was like testing them and reviewing them. And eventually I was like, this is, if I said yes to every opportunity that came around, all my content will be about toy reviews. And that's not really what I'm interested in. But since then, in the last 10 years, the way that brands and content creators, influencers have partnered together has really shifted. But I would say in addition to views, subscribers, clients, there have been other sort of like business opportunities that have come along because of the channel as well.
Yes. And how many subscribers does your channel have right now?
We're at 900,000 today.
Which is amazing. Congratulations. So I wanted to ask you, do you think there is a need for sex coaches? Is it an in-demand profession?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that it's a relatively unknown profession. Most people who I speak to and introduce myself to in the world have never heard of a sex coach before.
Yeah.
And I think that coaching offers such a great complement to therapy, or for some folks a alternative to therapy. I think there are many people who have correctly identified that what they're dealing with sexually doesn't necessarily need a therapist. Therapists are trained to work with people who are also dealing with some kind of mental illness, some kind of maybe some major trauma. They're trained to hold space for some of those really challenging things that people move through on their way to having a life that is satisfying to them. And coaches fill a very different need. We are working with people primarily who are well, who are stable, who are, in good mental health. And we are able to work with them to take them where they want to go. So someone who has identified that their life could be better, could be more fulfilling, could be more satisfying. We work with those folks to help them to experience the kind of sex that they want to have. And I think these two, I think therapy is relatively well known. And I think coaching is lesser known, but as people learn more about the availability of coaching, I think that it will only become more popular and more in demand.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. I love that answer. So, what strategies or types of content have been most effective in building trust and credibility with your audience?
So, content that does two things is what performs best and what builds trust. Content that shows that you really understand your audience. You understand who's watching your video, what it is that they're looking for, what they're struggling with, kind of their internal world. If you can show that you know what's going on for them on a very deep level, so much so that they're like, are you reading my mind? That kind of content develops a lot of trust because people feel seen and like you understand them. And then the other side of that is content that answers their questions, that actually meets their needs. Many content creators, myself included, early on in my journey, will make a lot of assumptions about what it is that folks want to hear, right? I think this is the most interesting thing, or this is the thing that makes the biggest difference for my clients, so you should care about it, right? But there's truth to that. But what's more important in terms of like developing trust with a subscriber base is showing them that you're hearing them, that you're listening to the questions that they have. And the best businesses, whether it's a coaching business or a car rental business, answer the needs that you have before you even know that you have them, right? Like my job is to know my subscribers and viewers so well that I can say, I understand your challenge. I understand why it's important to you. I understand the things that make it up to a degree that would scare you because I just get it on that level. And I'm also listening very deeply to what's important to you and anticipating your needs, your challenges, and the obstacles that you're facing and offering solutions to them before you can even ask.
Oh, amazing. That is such great advice. Oh, love it. So, turning visibility into tangible value, like a book deal, is a big leap. So, what are some key steps that helped you make that transition?
Thank you. Yes, it's true. My book, Harder, Better, Longer, Stronger, will be published on January 27th, 26th. And I'm so excited about this book. I've been sort of framing it, and your audience will appreciate this, as the Come As You Are for men, because there is no equivalent to Emily Nagoski's amazing work, which is all about female sexuality. And I feel like there's been a big gap where men are concerned. And since they've been my specialty for the last 10 years, it felt appropriate to create a condensed work that puts all of this together. So let me go back even further and say the benefit of the last 10 years of working as a coach with my audience, of developing other video courses for my audience and understanding what they wanted in terms of like what they wanted to learn and how they wanted to learn it, gave me the opportunity to really finesse and consolidate my system, right? From my own experience, my anecdotal experience, from working with hundreds of clients, I was able to develop a way of doing things that worked for me and works for my clients and that I could replicate. And the process of creating content and working with folks individually and in groups is this like iterative process. where you're developing things, you're seeing how they work, you're taking notes, you're refining them. And over that time, you're creating not just better content that meets their needs, but you're also creating a system that you can share with other people, that you can share with other coaches or other professionals or the other people that serve that same audience, that helps them to understand them better. And I like to think of it as sort of like a shortcut. Like, I give you this information so that you can get there faster.
Did you know a lot of people watch our YouTube videos and never subscribe to our channel? Before you finish this video, take a moment to click subscribe.
Being on YouTube, consistently developing my brand, my subscriber base, developing great relationships with my subscribers by consistently delivering for them over time is what enabled me to both get my TV show, Good Sex, on HBO Max, and eventually get this book deal. And it's because a publishing house or a production company are able to look at not just my body of work, right? There's probably thousands of hours of me on the internet speaking on the subject, right? So they know I'm consistent. They know I'm clear. They know I know what I'm talking about. But they also know that there is an audience of folks who I've already assembled and put into one place that care about this and want it and want to know more. So a publisher or a production company is able to look at that and say, there's already a need that's been proven. She already has trust with people. That's obvious. If she creates a thing, hosts a show, writes a book, there's a built-in audience of folks who are already going to be interested in it. And this is very different than the way that books were created even 15 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. There are more and more influencers who are getting book deals, getting show deals, who, maybe more traditional media is taking risks on, because the cool thing about influencers and content creators, and I use those terms sort of interchangeably, is that because we have such a direct relationship with our audiences. I mean, for me, coaching them, I couldn't have a more direct relationship. I know stuff about my clients that they haven't shared with anyone else. It doesn't get more intimate than that, really.
Right.
So when you work in a more traditional field as a publisher or producer, you don't really get to work really intensely for long periods of time with any one group of people. Right? Mm. You don't develop the kinds of relationships that content creators have developed with their audiences. And so I could give you so many examples of this, but a great one is the porn industry. The porn industry for many years made content that, mostly included women under the age of 28. At 28, you were sort of done and retired in porn. With the proliferation of OnlyFans that exploded during the pandemic, we actually see now that the number one search categories in on those sites are like MILFs. And yeah. It's because the actual audience wants they want something different than what the creators and what the people who were in charge and the producers thought that they wanted. And because we have these direct relationships, we can actually give people what they want in a way more meaningful way, and actually meet them where they're at and actually deliver really, really high value for them. It seems to me like a win-win for everybody. There's less guessing on all sides because of the years of relationship building and understanding that exists. I know how to speak to my audience. I know how to write a book for my audience. I know what works for them. I know what obstacles they're facing. And I have their trust over the last 10 years that I've been doing this, that they know that if I am putting together a book, it's going to include the same quality as what they've come to expect from me every week, every Thursday for the last 7-8 years, and sporadically before I was every Thursday. And that relationship is something that you really can't, it's really hard to overstate the importance of that relationship.
Oh, I know. Like, what more could a publisher or a producer ask for? I mean, you're basically gift wrapping everything. You've got the audience, you've got the expertise. I mean, your channel is like your living resume and CV. I mean, it's just, the perfect storm. So this one is a little nugget for our audience because we have a lot of people who want to create content. Some professionals feel overwhelmed by content creation. And what's one piece of advice that you would give to help them create with purpose and impact?
To be fair, content creation is overwhelming. even 10 years in and hundreds of hours of, and literally 1,000 uploads on YouTube later, I still feel regularly overwhelmed by the process of creating content. It is very much a job. And I think a lot of folks assume that maybe you can sort of do it on the side, and you can, but if you want to scale with it, you have to take it seriously as a portion of your job, as a significant piece of work that you are in the process of creating bit by bit. But don't let that stop you. Be overwhelmed and do it anyway. You know, in the beginning, you're going to probably dislike how your voice sounds. You may not like how you look. You may not have the best lighting. You may not have the best microphone. And don't let that stop you, because the truth is that you need to iterate hundreds of times before you are really in your groove. And even when you get into your groove, you'll realize that there are other ways that you can get better. You'll always be getting better. So if you don't start now, you can't get there later. Here I am 10 years in, 900,000 subscribers in, a book deal, a television in, and I still am constantly thinking about, how do I create better content? How do I create content that delivers a lot of value? How do I make it easy for people to access? How do I make it a part of my larger, business strategy? Those questions never end. So start now. Maybe let go of the idea that there will ever be a time where you're truly ready or where it's not overwhelming. The good news is that, we used to tell people the internet is written in ink, right? Like, you got to be careful. I remember my mom saying that to me all the time as a kid in the early days of the internet, honestly. And the truth is that the internet has a lot of stuff on it. There's a lot of content, there's a lot of information, and the consequences of posting some videos that aren't that great, that you look back on later and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I would use that microphone or let my hair look like that or whatever. I trust me, I have all these many videos. I'm like, that was way overproduced or underproduced, or that video had no real educational structure to it. It was so hard to follow. I had to go through those to get to where I am today. And just let yourself be imperfect. Let yourself just show up, because honestly, you're setting a example for the people who are watching you, that they also are allowed to be imperfect and figuring it out, and a beginner at something. You're a beginner at this. So let yourself be a beginner. Don't compare yourself to polished channels that have existed for 10 years and have full teams behind them like mine. There are so many people that work there. Caitlin V is made up of dozens of people, and they all play a role in getting that content out to our subscribers and to the folks who watch. So don't compare yourself to those polished channels that are well-oiled machines. Just make sure that each video is a little better than the last, that you're constantly listening to your audience, that you're answering their questions, that you're speaking to them in their language, that you're coming from their perspective, that you're not talking at them, but instead with them. Respond to the comments, develop those relationships, and incrementally improve over time. And you'll be where I am one day, looking back at the last 10 years and going, I can't believe that was 10 years ago. And now here I am, loving the sound of my voice, proud of the content that I create. The lighting today could be better, but you'll look back and you'll say, oh my gosh, I see how I got here one step at a time, but none of it was clear in the direction heading forward.
I love it. That is so valuable. And I think a lot of people think everything has to be perfect before they can even get started, and that is not the case. And, if you go to some of your favorite YouTubers and go look at their first video they ever posted and see how it's different. And, you really can see everybody starts somewhere. So that's
absolutely. Go to mine. Go watch my first 10 videos and then watch the most recent few, and you will see a progression, and that's okay. Yeah. Don't let perfectionism be the thing that prevents you from getting your very important work out there. And that is really the thing that I want everyone left with is I believe this more strongly today than I ever have before. There literally cannot be enough quality, pleasure centric sexuality education out there. There just cannot be enough. The need is so great. Your voice is so needed. So go and share your wisdom. It doesn't matter how many people you have subscribed or liked or approved or comments or anything like that. If I've always thought this for every single video I've ever created. If this video changes one person's life, it was so totally worth it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Well, if anybody watching this wants to learn more from Caitlin V, Sexual Health Alliance brings in experts on all different topics to speak at our online weekend events and our in-person conference that we have every October in Denver, Colorado. So to see our most recent list of upcoming events, please visit our website at sexualhealthalliance.com. Thanks for being with us today, Caitlin
It
V.
was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching our video with Caitlin V. Do us a favor, share this with someone who might benefit from this information. Your support helps us reach more people with important sexual health information. If you're passionate about this space, we know you'll enjoy these videos, so check them out. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And remember, you are exceptional.